Hey, welcome back to the EForge podcast, where kingdom entrepreneurs are forged into high impact leaders and legacy builders. I'm your host, Cory Long, and today's guest has a story and a mission that I believe every entrepreneur needs to hear. We all know that physical discipline and mental discipline go hand in hand. Most of us underestimate just how much our physical preparedness impacts our leadership, our business, and our ability to protect and provide for the people that we love. My guest today is Dr. Ryan, founder of the Weaponized Body and Weaponized Wellness. He's a unique training, it's literally a unique training program that helps men unlock strength, capability, and confidence through a combination of physical training, mindset, practical skills. In this episode, we're going to talk about the origin of his programs, the disciplines it builds, how some of those principles apply, especially in business, and why preparing your body can be the edge you didn't know you needed. Whether you're leading a company, a family, or a team, this conversation is going to challenge you to level up. Now, I know we just had a little bit of a conversation before we got kind of cranking here, and you were telling me a little bit of background. So you could give everybody a little bit of your background, because it sounds like I think it would help them to understand how you got to what you're doing now, so that they can see this is why this guy does what he does.
Sure. Yeah. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah.
So I guess I could start back as far as where I'm from. I'm from Midwest Canada, and I grew up in a very blue collar environment. I had an upbringing where both my family, all of my family members were all, W-2 employees. All my friends had parents who were W-2 employees. And, it was always a drive of mine to want to do well, because a lot of the conversations and fights in my home were always money oriented. I think a lot of people could probably relate to that, especially, anybody who is from a broken family, a family of divorce, money was always a huge fight in my household. So it was always a mission of mine, like subconsciously, I was like, I want to make a lot of money. Never knew how I wanted to do that until I hurt my spine playing hockey. Of course, being from Midwest Canada, yes, I was a hockey player.
Yeah.
I found my first chiropractor by accident while studying in university. It was at like a career resource day. Long story short, he really helped me repair a lot of my dysfunctions and got me back to the weight room, got me back to playing hockey. And I was inspired to become a chiropractor. So it really seen myself as somebody towards this, always field and mindset the hard way, but of course, grain. And things that are different or against the grain.
Sure.
So chiropractic being that, I in chiropractic school, I wanted to try to visit as many chiropractors as I could. And I went to school in Minnesota. So that was kind of how I entered the US. And what I noticed about these chiropractors that I would visit is they were all business owners. And all of these guys, they loved what they did. They were giving, loving, serving, and they just had this incredible practices that they built. I was like, that is what I want to do. Yeah. Little did I know, starting a business is a whole other animal that, I had no idea about. So I knew this about myself, that I needed some guidance and help. So I actually took on an associate role right out of school. And I wanted to find, a guy that I could take on as a mentor. And that appeared in my chiropractic journey, kind of midway through school. There's a chiropractor who is, he's a great friend of mine today. He runs and owns an incredible business coaching group in chiropractic. His name's Steven. And he took me on as an associate out in Boston here. So I ended up out here just because of, the job and the mentorship. And I did learn how to become an incredible practitioner, leader, communicator, team leader, etc. And of course, I met my wife in the process. We got married, and one of the stipulations, and I think a lot of you listening out there who, if you're a man and like a male business owner, you more than likely have a really strong female presence in your life that that really like drives you and that you want to show up for.
Yeah.
And she's been that for me since day one. I think one of the things that was absolutely necessary for me to stay with this woman was that, I had to go out and like start a business and hunt. And, I took that on, but I was showing up in early stages in my career as an employee in my own business.
Yeah.
Pretty
typical.
Yeah, and putting in the work, like, I'm a hard worker and I knew how to work and I knew how to be persistent. But the whole aspect of being able to market and sell and attract and convert and lead and teach and train and hire, all the hats you have to figure out how to wear. And yeah, we'll probably get into more of this, but it's been the biggest blessing of my life, but also like, man, the biggest pits of my life have come from what it's done to my marriage, what it's done to my body, what it's done to my spirituality, and just it's
Yeah.
it's built me into the man I am today. And I honestly wouldn't have done it any other way, but man, it's been a journey.
Yeah, it sounds like you've gone, and it's a typical business owner journey, right? We want to own a business, we start a business, before long we have a job. Then we
Mhm.
have to figure out how to be a business owner, and then we have to juggle having a family and all the other fun stuff that comes along with owning a business. And a chiropractic clinic is no different than any other business. You still have to wear all the hats, still have to do all the things, still have to do all the marketing, still have to do everything, like you're saying.
Mhm.
From that, it sounds like though that you've transitioned more lately. Like it feels like just from our conversations, short conversations we've had, it feels like you've kind of found your people, your tribe, the people that are really wanting to excel at not only just at life, but really their businesses and everything that they're doing. Whether it's you said you and your wife have a marriage podcast. I know that you have the
Mhm.
Weaponized Body podcast. I know that you said you do the Weaponized Wellness, which is kind of this more men focused, helping men get back on track. Talk to us about the different things that you're doing, because I think people would be attracted maybe to one or the other so that
Mhm.
they can find really the answers they're looking for.
Yeah. So at first, I guess over the first 10 years that I was in Massachusetts building a business, I also leaned in heavily on my body. I've been an athlete my whole life, and I found a sport called CrossFit.
Oh yeah.
Now, CrossFit lent itself really well to my abilities to not really be really great at anything, but being pretty good at a lot of things. So I actually became very good at CrossFit because I was pretty good at a lot of things, which, averaging out brings you near the surface. And, I leaned into it pretty hard. I was competitive. I competed at the games, a lot of regional competitions. And this was how I found my first tribe of people. I made a
Yeah.
lot of great connections through different affiliates and box owners, and a lot of great connections through CrossFit. And I also attracted a lot of my patient base through that.
I was about to say that's a good chiropractic. Like they need chiropractic. Those
Yeah,
are
big
it's
time.
hard on your body, man.
Yeah. So, and that's what happened to me. So, I ended up in a pretty big pit with my body, herniating discs in my low back,
Mm,
banging up my knees pretty bad. And my wrists, even still to this day, are pretty banged up. Kind of evolved as a practitioner, was really towards more performance, health, and recovery.
yeah.
Those are sort of like things that really came to the surface that I was like, man, I really like, am passionate about this stuff. This is really what I want to teach athletes, things I wish I knew earlier on in my athletic endeavors that, I would have taught and told myself 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's really driven a lot of the ways that I've crafted my practice. And as you mentioned, so I've started, a telehealth business that's rooted in functional blood chemistry. I do this for my in-house brick and mortar patients, but I also do it virtually. So I work with blood chem to help lead lifestyle changes, but also I have um, other avenues to help people that include peptides, hormone optimization. I have medical directors that help guide the programs. So that's the weaponized wellness end of things, and I do that with both men and women.
Okay.
Now, as far as weaponized body, so this is my men's only exclusive program that I do for mostly CEO,
Yeah.
entrepreneurial type of guys. There are some guys that are C-level kind of guys, but these are guys that tend to want more out of their life, and they're drivers or people that are doing the work, but they're just sideways when it comes to their health, when it comes to their blood work, maybe they're a few pounds overweight or whatnot. So, and this program includes, the coaching with the nutrition, the exercise programming, all the functional blood chemistry, types of corrections that we need to make through lifestyle, but, with other stuff, supplementation, et cetera. And
Yeah.
that's been really rewarding. It's been a really nice way to sort of, high tier type of coaching for people that want even more result than, let's just say, hey, help me out with some of my structural problems with chiropractic. Hey, help me out with, some of my issues that I'm looking for help with that are, more immediate versus long term.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give me an idea because I know you and I were chatting a little bit ago. I've hired trainers, I've done a couple of different things. I'm setting about 35 pounds down from my heaviest because I had gotten busy building a business.
Hmm.
I wasn't taking care of my health. 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, man, I've got to change something. I'm just not in shape anymore the way I was.
Hmm.
And I've noticed a big shift in that. I went through a lot of the same process that you're talking about now. Give me an idea of some of the patterns that you see in, especially in men that get into business. We're focused on growing our business. We're focused on
Hmm.
all the aspects of that because we're spending, 60, 80, 100-hour weeks sometimes
Hmm.
trying to build this business because we feel like, man, we got to hustle and grind and we got to do the thing. And it's driving
Hmm.
mentally, emotionally, physically. It just drives us. What are some of the patterns that you're seeing across the board with that?
Well, I could tell, there's a couple things there. So one thing is that I think it is required if you want to grow a business, if you want to like actually start and run and own and operate a business, it does require a tremendous amount of work and
Yeah,
effort
it does.
and time and money and energy and whatnot. So, there is no other way around that. Now, I think that it is really easy to lean into that and start to ignore the other categories of your life. And I think balance to a degree is a bit of bullshit. Like there can never
Yeah.
be perfect harmony and
Yep.
balance.
Yep.
But when you get way too far out of harmony, what can happen is you can start to see symptoms in your life. And if you're not aware of what's happening, if you don't have some sort of like um group of men, specifically if you're a man, or if you're a female, if you have like a group of women and or just like a peer group in general who are actually there to like help put up a mirror for you and,
Absolutely.
and show you where, hey, listen, this is starting to go sideways. Or if you're someone who it just is, if you're introspective enough and you take the time to really reflect. I know for me this was a massive learning process because what I mentioned before is I leaned in real heavy on my body, and you could say business to a degree. Obviously I was working hard, not smart. But in the meantime, what happened is my marriage fell apart, and
Yeah.
I had virtually no spirituality, no spiritual practice, none of that. Like purpose was sort of like willy nilly, wish washy. So this all came to a head in about 2016, 17. And this is where I found a group called Wake Up Warrior.
Yeah.
And this really taught me how to, first of all, fundamentally start your day in power, right? Start each day putting energy into all four categories of your life, being however you want to call it: business, body, balance, being, or if you want to call it faith, fitness, finance, family. um Really, there's just like when it boils down to it, there's four categories of your life that you need to pay attention to, otherwise you will start to get imbalanced and symptomatic.
Right.
So to answer your question, I think that everyone is susceptible to let their weaker categories become
Mm,
huge Achilles heels, and they will become symptomatic. It's just a matter of being able to understand, like, how do I pour energy into these things? And for me, it was my being and my balance, right? So my family, my wife, and my spirituality. So what Warrior taught me how to do was, hey, how to put small deposits into these categories each day.
right.
And that enables you to start each day um, at your best possible energy, vibration, etc. And that allows you to attack your day and be a better business owner, be a better leader, father, husband, whatnot, or whatnot. What Wake Up Warrior also taught me to do is like, hey, you have these targets and goals in business, right? And some people might even have targets and goals in body. Those are very like tangible metrics to measure. I think that people have a hard time with like the spirituality and the marriage or the family life, setting targets and goals there because they're not
Yeah.
quite as measurable.
Yeah.
It really helped me set targets and goals and behaviors in these areas in order to help me become more balanced. So I call this a four-dimensional person or man in my case. Um, and as I've become more of a four-dimensional man, my life has only gotten so much better. And I think that's the case for entrepreneurs is they like, what did you get into becoming an entrepreneur for? Well,
Right.
in most cases, like I want to have, for me, I wanted to have a big life. I wanted to like, I didn't want to, get to the end of my life and be like, well, what
Yeah, I
if
didn't pour it out. Yeah.
yeah, what if I didn't empty the tank or give it
Yeah.
my all? So I think that fundamentally as an entrepreneur, I think we all want to just squeeze the juice out of life and really see what's possible for our experience. And your experience becomes so much more rich when you define it with not just like financial or money incentive or like aesthetic or like body fat percentage
Right. Right.
or even like, status. It's so much more rich when you're able to say like, hey, this is really what I want. And it might look like an incredible family life, a spiritual connection with God,
Right.
a healthy body that's functional till I'm 80, et cetera. So that was kind of a long-winded way to tell you that I think everybody where they're susceptible is in their weaker categories. So it's different for everybody where I see it fall apart. But honestly, for a lot of guys, if they don't have physical habits, it does happen in their body. Like the guys I attract are guys that are 20, 30 pounds overweight.
Right.
They're already suffering with symptoms and like metabolic disease types of
Right.
things, blood sugars sideways. Their doctor's threatening cholesterol meds. They have
I
low
was
T.
there.
So, yeah, they have low T, so their
Yeah.
energy stinks. They're showing up
Yeah.
with low confidence. They wake up feeling like ass in the morning. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. I got to the point, this has been a lot of years ago, when I very first started having high blood pressure. And that was when I was like, wait, I'm too young to have high blood pressure. What in the world's going on? And
Hmm.
this is probably 12, 13 years ago. And the doctor asked me, he goes, so do you work a stressful job? And I'm like, I run a children's home for a bunch of goofy girls that are abused, trafficked,
Mm.
neglected. We had up to 20 something girls on the campus at a time. Like, yeah, I'm kind of around a stressful situation every single day. And he was like, "Oh, okay, I get it." And then he put me on a pill, right? On
Yeah.
lisinopril or whatever it's
Hmm.
called. And I did that for years until I finally realized that I don't have to do that. Like
Hmm.
there's ways to get my blood pressure back under control and ways to get back healthy again. And then my cholesterol did the same thing, right? So I think do you normally see, for me, that was the triggers. That was the things
Hmm.
that went, okay, something's not right.
Yep.
None of the doctors sitting here going, I got high blood pressure, I got high cholesterol, I got this, I got
Hmm.
that, and the pants aren't fitting as well, and the shirts aren't fitting. Like I've got a size medium shirt on today. I was
Hmm.
wearing extra large 10 years ago, right? It
Wow,
was
that's
I
great.
was a different guy 10 years
Hmm.
ago than I am today. And
Right.
we were just talking about this. We took pictures for my book that I published a couple of years ago. Like even that was 4 or 5 years ago. We took pictures.
Hmm.
I just looked different than I did 4 or 5 years ago. My guess is a lot of men end up finding themselves in that situation where they go to the doctor, something doesn't quite feel right. Probably
Hmm.
high blood pressure is probably one of the things that hits them. The
Hmm.
cholesterol probably is one of the things that hits them. Like you said, the low T level, which energy's blasted. They're not seeing the muscle tone they used to have. The workouts aren't the same.
Hmm.
Some of them just quit all of that altogether, where they're
Hmm.
not even working out anymore at all.
Right.
So when somebody comes to you like that, what's kind of the process? It sounds like you put them through labs. Sounds like you
Yeah.
start to move them through a process.
Yeah. Well, I'll just speak to that also because people are going to relate to this and they're going to say, yeah, that happened to me.
Yeah.
Because here's what I see all the time is that guys in their 40s they'll start blaming things on old age.
Yeah.
uh
Well, the
and
doctor will tell you that, right? The
well,
doctor said,
here's the
well, yeah,
thing.
when you get old.
Yeah, it'll be reinforced by
Yeah.
what we consider our medical advisors. Now, I want to just preface this by saying, like, listen, your medical advisor is there for a good reason, and I think everyone should have a great primary care professional.
Yep.
Your primary care professional is there as like your sort of like you could say your crisis management advisor. It's somebody where if you have like a major symptomatic issue or a problem, or somebody who's going to check in with you and screen for major diseases. Now, when you come to this practitioner and your cholesterol is a little sideways and you're, 20 or 30 pounds pudgy and overweight and your blood pressure's up a little bit, like they're going to just tell you like, yeah, this is probably isn't good, but it's fine. It's just, you're getting older or whatnot. And there's no solutions provided.
Right.
And what you have to understand is like your primary care professional, your medical practitioner, A, does not have training in order to give you lifestyle advice. B, nor are they instructed to or incentivized to do so. I think most doctors are incredible people and want to do well, but their tools that is in their scope of practice and how they're instructed and taught to help people is like management and it's called harm reduction. They're there to reduce harm that you're causing yourself. And if you feel fine about that, it's like, well, I'm okay with you causing harm to yourself every day because your chronic alcohol consumption, your bad food choices, your lack of exercise, your stressful job you don't do anything to mitigate stress about, you just keep doing that. We'll just keep dialing up your cholesterol, blood pressure,
Right.
pills in order to like satisfy the numbers on paper,
That's what
which
they did
like,
for me.
yeah, I
They
mean,
didn't give
listen,
me any other
but
advice.
but that's the model. That's what you have to understand, that you're saying, okay, I'm okay with
Yeah.
this approach. I'm okay with this method of what I'm signing up for. And you can't be mad about it because that's what it is. If you're somebody who understands that, that is not, that's not your design. You're not designed to become unhealthy. You are not designed to be diseased, right? Despite any of the thought out there that's like, oh, well, there's genetic problems, there's like stuff runs in my family.
I
The
was
chan
told that
the
you got high
chances
blood
are
pressure in
the
your family.
chances are yeah, the
Yeah.
chances are nobody runs in your family is more the case rather
Yeah.
than like it running in your family. Now, I'm not minimizing actual genetic tendencies and risks because I
Absolutely.
I actually measure those with my blood chem. Now, how I separate myself and what my process is with the understanding that you're somebody who is approaching me saying, "Hey, I want better performance, health, recovery, and I want to improve my life and my health." Because if you're not interested in that, I don't want to. I have no interest in talking to you.
Right. Right. Right.
I'm not going to help you crisis manage. I'm not going to help minimize the harm of the things you're doing to yourself. I'm going to just tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you straight up.
Yeah.
And that's why I love blood work, because you can't fudge it.
Yeah.
It's literal factual data,
Yeah.
and you can't hide from it. My
Yeah.
my most robust panel, my VIP panel, I get almost 100 biomarkers. By
Wow.
by the way, your typical physical, look this up. It's 19 biomarkers.
Oh,
If you're
seriously.
if you're okay managing your health based on 19 biomarkers, your blood pressure, your height, and your weight, so be it. I am a bigger fan of like, hey man, why don't you spend some money and find out actually what's going on under the hood? My VIP panel will do almost 100 biomarkers. Get a flexibility, strength, range of motion, X-ray. Get some data and see actually where you stand, because
Right.
the version of healthcare I practice, I like to say it's third tier. It's not treatment of disease, right? It's not even screening or like prevention. It's more promotion. That's more
Right.
what I'm interested in. So the process that I'll take on with somebody is we always start with some functional blood chemistry. It's really one of the most valuable tools. I love to get a body comp scan if I can, along with that. The most objective and accurate is a DEXA scan. I have
Okay.
what's called an in-body scan in my office. It's an in-body 570. So it is a bioimpedance machine, but it's a very high level BIA machine. It gives me pretty accurate data. So it'll tell me about your body fat percentage, your muscle mass, how much body fat you have on your
That's
body.
something that most people could get though in like I'm pretty sure DEXA scans, right? You can get that
Yep.
anywhere in your community. Probably there's somewhere to go do that.
Look it up. I'm sure there's plenty of like
Yeah.
hospitals and clinics that have them. You
Yeah.
get one for $100, usually 120, $50. I'd love to get a VO2 max on people. That's asking a little more, but a lot of
Right.
clinics will have a DEXA VO2.
Right.
But very like short money, you can just get an in body. You can get those for like $20.
What
Um,
specifically what is a VO2 max really looking at? What is that?
yeah. So it it tells you at exertion how much oxygen your body is consuming, right? So the more metabolically fit you are, the more your mitochondria are efficient at using oxygen, the better your VO2 max is, right?
Okay.
And there are standards of where you want your VO2 max to live based on your age. So like an elite athlete, for example, would be like a 60 plus VO2 max. For me, I like to see guys like at least at 40. Anything
Okay.
less than that, if you listen to any longevity podcasts or look at any data or research, you can see that your all-cause mortality just starts to go way up,
Oh,
right?
wow. Okay.
So it's one of those things. It's like if I was to know one thing about my health that's going to predict like a crystal ball, like when am I going to die or fall apart? Look at your VO2 max. That's one of the
Very interesting. Okay.
yeah. It's one
I
of the
hear it
most.
talked about a lot. I've never had
Mhm.
one. I
Yeah,
need
I
to
don't
look at
have
that.
one.
That's something I need to do.
I don't have one at my office, but maybe one day. There's plenty of places you can go get one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But listen, if you just tell me like, hey, how often do you train? Like, what's your body fat? And look at your blood work, I could probably predict your VO2 max pretty good.
Yeah.
I use a Whoop, which is it tracks my metrics every day. It does give me a VO2 max estimation. I mean, there's ways you can sort of like guesstimate it,
Sure.
but yeah, like with a blood panel and an in-body scan, I can really see where somebody stands. And then I do, of course, a comprehensive consultation. So
Sure.
really understanding like, hey, what is this person's lifestyle like? I always ask about the five levers here. These are the five most important levers you got to focus on. Ready? Number one is hydration.
Mm,
Man, there's many people that are chronically underhydrating. It's one of the easiest fixes. The nutrition piece is very critical, as most people know. The exercise piece is very important, as most of you know. And I'm talking like not just uh, aerobic training; we're talking strength training as well.
right.
Stress management, which is a very important one, and the last one is sleep. And
Yeah.
I've done podcasts on sleep, and the more you study and research sleep, I'm very confident in saying it's the most underrated chronic health condition in the United States is people that
Lack of
have
sleep.
dysfunctional sleep. It's not even lack of sleep, it's just dysfunctional sleep. Over
Interesting.
60% of people have dysfunctional sleep, adults. And
Wow.
we're talking like maybe you're in bed for 8 hours. How much of that is like actually deep restful sleep? Are you going through normal wake sleep cycles? You go through specific cycles of sleep as you are in bed. And the thing most people don't know is like, caffeine usage screws up your sleep if it's late in the day. Alcohol usage is one of the most common culprits for screwing up sleep. Eating too late, erratic bedtimes, and if you're a shift worker, I mean that's one of
Oh,
the
yeah.
huge chronic health risk if you're a shift worker.
Our daughter went through that. She worked night shifts at the hospital for a while, and it
It's
finally got to a point where I had to ask her. We
brutal.
we went to Vail to go visit her. She was working at the hospital there, and we spent a couple of weeks with her, and I was like, "You're a zombie. Like
Yeah.
you're not the girl we dropped off here however many months ago with this night shift thing that you're doing." And she'd work 36 on, and then
Yeah.
those next 4 days she's off, and then she'd have to rotate back to those night shifts again. And man,
I
it messed
always,
her up.
I always, it's not a joke, but I always joked, I could say, I don't know how else to say it, that my largest population of people were nurses and
Right.
teachers.
Yeah.
Some of the highest stress jobs, very female dominant jobs. And the
Yep.
thing is, like, especially in nursing, you start low on the totem pole and you end up getting stuck with the overnights. There's nothing that
Yep.
will screw up your hormones more than having dysregulated, just like anti circadian rhythm behaviors.
Yep.
Yeah, it just really just wrecks your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Yeah, which
Well, and this
damages your health.
the whole ER and rad tech group during the wintertime, they would work their 36. So they'd work their night shift, they'd get off, they would go up the ski run, they would do like 4 or 5 passes, and then
Yeah.
they'd go home and sleep. And then they would
Yeah.
get ready to go through the next night and they go do the same thing the next day. And then they go home and sleep. It was wild. Like
And
it
the
was a
thing is,
weird lifestyle.
when you're young, I like to use the word resilience, right? You have this resiliency when you're young. It's your
Yeah.
ability to recover, it's your ability to bounce back. Um, People joke about their experience with alcohol. They're like, oh my God, I used to be able to drink all night and be fine the next day. And when I'm 35 to 40 years old, I got hit by a truck the next day. It takes me 3 days to recover. Well, that's like your body's resilience. It's your ability to take on like lifestyle stressors and how much physiological effect they have on you. And you
Yeah.
you can do that stuff when you're young and not necessarily be acutely symptomatic, but the longer term that happens, it just shows up later in life. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see, just thinking back about her, it didn't take very long for her. She was in her mid 20s for
Mhm.
her to completely wreck
Mhm.
everything with just those night shifts. And
Yeah.
then I think back even for me, I think the turning point for me is finding somebody like you years ago that I went through all the blood tests and I went through all the hormone testing and we built a program for me and I started to kind of see the shift. And then I went into the doctor one day, my normal yearly physical. They're checking my blood pressure, and the nurse looks at me and she said, "Are you feeling okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I feel great, no problem." She goes, "Okay," and she didn't really. She checked my blood pressure again. She didn't really say anything. Doctor comes in, he checks my blood pressure, and he's like, "Are you still taking your blood pressure medicine?" And I'm like, "Yeah, doing the same thing I've been doing." He goes, "You don't need to be taking it anymore."
Mhm.
And that's when there was like a something that flipped that,
Mhm.
hey, this isn't something that I have to live with for life. This isn't something that is, my family's got it. My brothers all have high blood sugar, whatever it is, right? My mom, my dad, whatever. I I haven't had any blood pressure issues since then. And I've been following a regimen like what you're talking about, making sure all of those pieces are in place.
Out of
So
cur-
somebody,
out
oh,
of curiosity, sorry, interrupt. Out of curiosity, what was your what was your turning point? What was the moment or the decision you made? You're like, I this is not okay. I need to do something different.
yeah. So my wife has multiple sclerosis.
Hmm.
So there was a point where I looked at my life. She was starting to get worse with her walking and all of that. The businesses were doing pretty well. Like
Hmm.
the money was there, all that stuff was kind of moving along. Um, I had woke up one day and I just thought, I, I can't get older and not be able to take care of her. And that's what shifted it for me. Like I was going, at some point, if I do have to physically help her, do things for her, move her, whatever it might be, I've got to be able to physically do it. And that's what kind of triggered me to
Hmm.
go, okay, I got to get my act together. Like the
Yeah.
money was there, the business was there. We were traveling and doing stuff that we wanted to do. I also was getting really frustrated not being able to go ski and not do the things that I was able to do before at the level that I was able to do it because I love
Mhm.
to ski and I'd go with my daughter and she'd run off and leave me and I just couldn't keep up with her as well. And there was a point where I was like, I've I've got to take care of my wife. I want to be able to
Mhm.
do the things that I want to do. I also started see I speak on stages and just like you, I'm in front of the crowd and stuff. And I would look at pictures and go, is that really me? Like,
Yeah, it's
is that
funny
really
how.
the guy that's sitting here right now?
Yeah.
Right. And it was wild to think that I had let myself get that far off. I'd quit playing basketball. I'd quit doing the
Mhm.
other things that I used to do all the time.
Yeah,
And
and that's what it is. It's a slow, gradual
it
process
is.
for a lot of people, which is why I was curious to know what was kind of for some people it's a rock bottom or a crisis or
Yeah.
just a moment in time where just a switch flipped. Yeah, and is then interesting. It was your wife, and you seeing yourself in the future and how the direction of your health and how it was going to affect the way you were going to be able to take care of her later. So that's powerful,
Yeah.
and that's the place that you need to go. You need to get really deep with that in order to make those shifts. Because listen, most people understand, I think for the most part, healthy choices when it
Oh
comes
yeah.
to foods. Most people understand, like, yeah, I need to move my body and,
Yeah.
strength train. And most people understand, like, yeah, I should choose this water instead of that coffee or juice. And you know what I'm saying? Like, most people understand fundamentally, I need sunshine, I need to breathe air. Like, these are all natural ways of being. But we, because of the way we've constructed society, we've just decided that it's okay for us to continue to live as unnaturally as possible for as long as possible
Yeah.
because you get comfortable. These things are not they're not easy choices based on how we've constructed society and what's available because we've engineered activity out of our daily lives, right? Most 80%, do you know this? 80% of jobs are sedentary or sitting jobs.
Oh yeah.
um, so we've engineered activity out of our lives. We've made food to get food as conveniently as possible. You can get delivered to your front door. You literally don't even have to go grocery shopping anymore. And
Yeah,
So you
that
don't
was
have to,
probably somebody's exercise walking around the grocery
yeah.
store.
So you don't have to move your body. You don't have to go,
Yeah.
prepare your own food or go even,
Yeah.
source it or get it from anywhere. And all of the choices that are available to us that are marketed to us are definitely not geared towards you becoming healthier. It's more like, hey, this is going to be fantastic in the moment on your taste
Yeah.
buds and tickle your brain. So it's not that it's not your fault. It's just that, like, if you just go with the default, this is the warning. It's like, if you live by default, this is the path. It's how it goes.
I a year ago or so, I guess it was almost a year ago, our daughter had went, she does travel gigs now for CT and X-ray, so she travels all over the place. She was in Hawaii at the time. My wife went, dropped her off. I went, picked her up whenever she was coming back. So she does like 13, 14-week stints. And so I went to go visit with her, and she was telling her buddies down there, she was like, "Hey, we're going to take my dad and we're going to go hike this and we're going to go do that and blah blah blah." And they're like, "How old's your dad?" And she goes,
Please hold.
"Well, he's in his, I just turned 50." And she was like,
Yeah, yeah.
"He's 50." And they go, "Is he going to be able to do all that?" And they go, and I love this. She turned to her coworkers and she said, "You don't realize my dad's in better shape than I am." like that's where I've gotten to now, but it took me shifting all of that. And then when that trigger happened with the medication and I didn't need it anymore, I was like, "Oh, because I'd only known you just got to take it the rest of your life." That's
Yeah.
all I'd ever known. I'd
Yeah, you
watched my
built
parents do that. I'd watched my brothers do that.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah, you
Right?
built
I didn't
evidence.
know
You
any
built
different.
evidence. Yeah, you're building up the evidence to what you know is true.
So if somebody's watching the podcast today and they're sitting there going, "Okay, look, I agree. I'm in a position, I'm 30, 40 pounds overweight.
Mhm.
These things are great, but these things really are not great right now. Like I need some help." Like what would you suggest somebody do? Like what's if they wanted to get a hold of you, or how does that process work? Or give us an idea. Because I know people out there they're gonna resonate with this that are in the same situation I was in 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah, I would just say, just be open to actually getting some data driven tests that you may not have had before. Be willing to invest in your health. I mean,
Yeah,
a huge part of my wife and I's budget is towards our food, our supplementation,
we're the same way.
towards our physical hobbies and activities, right? So if you in fact want to become the best possible version of yourself, you cannot do it in a way where you do not pay attention to your health. It bleeds into all your categories. It determines your energy. It determines your confidence and how you show up. If you want to be sexually active, with your spouse or your significant other for a long time, I mean, there's endless benefits of just being a robustly healthy person. But you have to start with where you're at. What are the facts? I think most people live in, honestly, Cory, most people live in fantasy when it
Oh,
comes
for
to
sure.
where they are. And it's probably the same in business when you audit business, right? It's like, well, what's your numbers? And they're like, I think I make
Yeah, I don't
this
know.
much. I don't know. What's your payroll? I think,
I don't know.
yeah. So you can't live in fantasy when it comes to
Yeah,
the facts of your health. Like
because it
myself,
will catch up with you.
yeah. So the best factual evidence, I mentioned this already, is get a robust blood panel. Like I said, there's two different versions I offer. Both of them offer a full comprehensive hormone analysis, though it's that important. The difference between like a 45 biomarker to an 85 is just more vitamins, minerals, deeper testing when it comes to like cholesterol and blood sugars, etc. So, like, be willing to invest in a blood panel that's far more robust than your general
The 19
you,
biomarkers or whatever.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Your routine physical, right? And there's
Yeah.
plenty of companies out there like Function Health is doing this for $400 a year type of thing. Like here's the thing though, is you're just not getting a lot of coaching and guidance. Like
Yeah.
what I saw, and here's the thing, I do consults all the time with men, and I'll show them their facts, their blood work, and we look at their body fat percentage and be like, dude, what do you want? Or this is what you want. Okay, well, here's how I can help you get there.
Right.
And in some cases they're like, yeah, well, I'm too busy. I'm not ready to commit. I just really have to get really committed to myself before doing this. Like, let's follow up later. It's like, all right, man, like what, how much longer are you going to tolerate being 40 pounds overweight?
Yeah. Is it a heart
Ha-
attack? Is it yeah.
exactly. And here, I'll tell you a story just to kind of wrap this up. As far as this discussion, the reason I started really taking this very seriously and be able to like look people in the eye and tell them, the truth about this stuff is I had a patient, David, and I actually early on, I was dabbling in learning how to offer more of this like robust health coaching and being able to help people in more dynamics with their health. I had a program where I actually ran a gym. I had the chiropractic center, and we did blood work. And so we had a nutritionist in house. So we were doing the comprehensive kind of weight loss program. And I had a guy who he was from Tennessee, sweetest man ever. This amazing guy who had a young daughter in his mid 60s. And this was when I first started doing blood chem, and I was pretty green with it. And when I reported his blood work, he had some biomarkers like his homocysteine was high, his LDL
Mm,
cholesterol was high, his ApoBs were high, his C-reactive protein was high, his uric acid levels were high. We talked about it and we discussed and we got some strategies together. He actually did my program for a little bit, but dropped off and, did his thing. And he was, probably 40 pounds overweight, big guy, like 6'5", but,
oh wow.
probably 280. Um, he ended up, I got a frantic call one day, my front desk from his wife that he had passed away
Oh
one
man.
night. He had a heart attack in his bed right beside his wife. And like I think about this I think about this all the time when I'm doing consults with guys that are they're in their 50s and 60s. And I think back then I was like, man, I minimized this stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's not that I didn't think that he could, I wasn't giving him the right advice or telling him what to do, but I think it was just the delivery and the seriousness of the conversation. Because
Yeah.
it's like now this guy's daughter has to grow up without him.
Yeah.
Right. And it was because like at the time I didn't really have the balls to tell him like, dude, like
You got to do this.
you have no time to waste. You
Yeah.
can't think about it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever the price was, whatever the commitment was, it's like, what is more important than that? All right.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, and entrepreneurs especially, it's like you have 99 problems until you have a health problem,
That's
and
right.
then you only have one problem. So there really is no more important investment. There's really no more important focus of your daily activities. Like you could try to make as much money as possible, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day if you can't go for
That's right.
a hike with your daughter,
That's right.
right? If you can't take care of a loved one because you're physically unable. I mean, we could come up with endless uh, examples, right? So, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. Like I cater to 35 plus people
Sure.
just because, by the you're not really worried about your health as much in your 20s as you are in your 30s and 40s and beyond. But like 35 plus is when you really need to start looking at things like, okay, I really need to see what's going on under the hood in more data, like more detail than what I've seen before. And that
Right.
starts with blood work. It starts with body composition. And you can get a tremendous amount of like information and data just from those things. Now, of course, I'm a huge proponent for all my in-person people. Like I'm doing strength, flexibility, functional movement assessments, x-rays, etc. because clearly your physical and your joint health is majorly important as well.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, so just be willing and open to spend the energy and the money into getting some really good data and understanding of like what are your actual health risks, where are you at, and what can you do about it.
Yeah, that's huge. Man, this has been it's been eye-opening. I appreciate you sharing the story because that helps to make it real. I
Oh
know for
yeah, I got
me,
emotional for a sec there. I was like, holy
no,
shit.
I because it's real. Like this is real stuff. I had a good friend 2 weeks ago turn over on a lawnmower and he died from that accident that happened just like that. Like we just don't know. And if
Mhm.
we can control our health, if we can do the things that you're talking about, why shouldn't we? Like I feel so much better now. I look better, I feel better, I have more energy for my family, I have more energy for my business. I don't have the waves throughout the afternoon and the ups and the downs of all of the other stuff. Look, I love the mission that you're on. I love what you're teaching, and I know it's about more than just fitness because it's about life. It's about building discipline and confidence and capability to lead a life that you want. If you're listening to the podcast right now and you've been putting your physical readiness on the back burner, guys, look, this is your wake up call. After that story right there, you should do something. Take action today. Do something to better your life, and especially take action for your health today. Your body, your mind, your leadership are all connected. It's time to invest in all three. Guys, if you're watching this, you want to meet and get to know more about Dr. Ryan, make sure and go to the weaponizedbody.com or find him online. Is there a specific place you'd like them to connect with you online? Is it one of your Facebooks or any with, or just
Yeah,
plain?
I mean, if you do show notes, you can put my handles in there. I mean, on Instagram, the Weaponized Dad,
Okay.
you can see I lead what I live, or I
Yeah, yeah,
live what I
yeah.
lead. Yeah, live what I lead.
I
Um,
love it. Yeah,
and
I just started following you a couple weeks ago and I've already seen some of those type of posts. And I love that. I love
yeah,
the fact that you're like, look, I am going to be a successful business owner. I'm going to be a successful dad. I'm going to be a successful husband. I'm right. All of these things that are important. If this episode has challenged you, do me a favor, subscribe to the EForge podcast, leave a review, share it with a friend that maybe you know needs to hear this message. Maybe somebody that you know that's struggling with their health, or you know that they just needs a little bit of a wake up call. Share it with them because they need to hear it. New episodes drop every Thursday. This one's going to be dropping next Thursday, right here on the Forge, where leaders are made and legacies are built.